So, just as like an approximate sync point, I feel like the three of us should just like count to three. Just say like one of us says one of us says two, one of us says three in rapid succession, and like that's our like approximate sync point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
I was trying to start it off.
Let's go Zach, Jason, me. Okay?
Yeah, let's count down to me counting. 1, 2, 3, 1.
2.
3.
Okay.
Okay, let's try that one more time. Hi, welcome to the PolyChrome post E3 discussion. I'm Jason here with Josh and Zach, and we're all going to give our thoughts on what we thought of E3 2021.
Hell yeah, dog. Let's fucking go. Let's talk about some goddamn video games. Let's fucking chat for like a solid 45 minutes at most.
I admire the enthusiastic start. My view of E3 this year was fine. There were definitely some things that I was hoping for, perhaps expecting, that did not show up. That being said, it wasn't all terrible.
I think for like, considering the circumstances, like it was fine.
Yeah.
Like even like considering, everything going on in the world right now, it didn't transcend fine to me, and like, I can cut it like a ton of slack because of, but yeah, nothing really like knocked my socks off except for probably Nintendo, which is a big surprise, but we'll get to that. So, yeah.
No, and I think that's true, and it is. You do have to bear in mind that there is like the specter of COVID hanging over this whole thing, which naturally affects the quality. So I agree. Like it's easy to cut it some slack, but that being said, I do think that there is a distinction between cutting the actual like developers slack in terms of what they were able to show and your evaluation of like how impressive the show was, right? Because
for sure.
Because it's like I'm not mad about it, but the show wasn't very impressive for the most part. With some notable exceptions, right?
For sure.
So I'm not here to say there's nothing that I liked. Just that I also cut some slack. There's going to be probably a lot more delays before the year is done. Frankly, there will probably be delays into next year as well, and that's just unavoidable with the situation being the way that it is. Even if folks are set up to work at home now, they were not in the first months, so there was like critical time lost that you can't just magically get back. So all of that having been said, I would have liked more Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, I feel like in light of the pandemic, basically the biggest difference about E3 this year was just some games that you would have expected to be released holiday season are just coming in 2022.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I think one of my big takeaways, like overall from the whole thing, is like I feel like towards the end of like actual live showings, like a lot of companies were starting to push towards more like the digital like conference, like Nintendo Direct style, before any of this happened, where like it was a given, like that's kind of the way we have to work now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that like post like next year, like post this E3, like we move back to like the live conferences. Like there's sort of like a joy that's kind of been missing.
It's like going to a concert almost.
Exactly, right? It's like, fuck, we're all in a room again. We're going to talk about video games. We can all get excited. There's like fan reaction. On stage cringe is back on the fucking menu.
Oh, like, well, I mean, there was no shortage of cringe this year.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't you fucking worry. Like, that has survived into the direct era.
For sure. But I mean, like, like someone on stage, like, doing Connectimals shit. And then like, the crowd being like, Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Good
great.
one, Cinnamon. Moving forward, can you show me Halo now?
And the answer is always later.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm hoping that this is like the shot that we need to like go back to like the live stuff when like everything is clear and stuff. So
Yeah. Honestly, next year is probably going to be a hell of a year. Like,
yeah,
they're probably already planning for like big setups, big stage presentations.
Maybe. Yeah, I think I'm less bullish on that than you, but I mean, I hope so. I will say, as a Sony guy, the absence of Sony from E3 for the past several years has been, I think, noticeable. I do think that there is something. I guess what it boils down to for me is I do feel like I feel like E3 loses something when you don't have like the three major like hardware developers doing doing conferences all together, because you could basically always count on those three being good. Or having something good about them. Sony going to State of Play, I understand why they do it. It still kind of bums me out, even though, I PC game too. I bought a Switch today, so it's not like it's the only thing they do. But I am definitely a Sony guy fundamentally, and E3 just like isn't part of their strategy anymore, which is fine but kind of sad.
I was going to say, like, in light of the pandemic aside, like, no year is ever as hype as a hardware announcement year.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So, like,
yeah,
the fact that we're between hardware announcements right now, it's like, you expect a bit of a tame, like, toned down E3 anyway.
Yeah. Though I will say, the 1 year, I think it was it 2015 or 20? I think it was 2015. The year that Sony they brought back The Last Guardian, because that was like dead for like a decade.
Oh yeah, like I think everybody was shocked when it turned out that game existed.
And that was the first thing they showed that year. And then later on, the Final Fantasy remake announcement. It's like, it's fucking happening. And then immediately after that, they pull on Yu Suzuki and they're like, hey, we're going to crowdfund Shenmue 3 and Sony's going to help pay for it and stuff. Which, like, you know, now in hindsight, like...
let's not talk about how Shenmue 3 turned out.
No, like, I have to put that in their disclaimer. Like, Shenmue 3 did not go over well. I know a lot of people that fucking despise the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Not me, for the record. I loved the Final Fantasy VII remake, and I will defend it against all comers. But it has definitely been controversial, and it is maybe telling that I thought the original Final Fantasy VII was, like, just okay. And a lot of the angriest responses I've seen to that game have been from people who, like, really, 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 really liked the original Final Fantasy VII in a way that I just never did.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Final Fantasy VII is akin to Ocarina of Time for the nostalgia factor. And
I could not agree more.
A solid like 51% of people's opinions on how good those two games are how much they enjoyed them in their childhood when there were no better options to play.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah. Did you play this as a kid or did you not?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I did play it as a kid, but my PlayStation 1 like JRPG that I really liked that also has not held up in like all of the best ways, but has held up in some ways, it was Legend of Dragoon.
Oh yeah.
That was like my kind of big game of a similar genre. So I got to Final Fantasy VII and I was like, this is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
And part of that's just like the world or the settings. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah. aside from like a hardware announcement year, that's like the last time
it was real life.
I feel like E3 like really popped off, like people were talking about that for like a full year afterwards and stuff like that. And like,
I think that's right.
What was the last year Sony was at E3? Was it 2018?
2018. Because 2019, I think so. I think they were there 2018, and then they were like, we're not doing 2019, and then nothing happened in 2020, and then this year they were like, nope, we're still doing State of Play.
That's right. 2018 was the year that they did it was like the 4 games where they started in like the cabin from Last of Us Part 2, and then they like after that they moved to a completely different stage and had to like wait for that, so that was like kind of awkward. And then they showed Ghost of Tsushima and like a couple other games, and I'm sure they're both pretty good. But
I was gonna say I'm actually having difficulty remembering what those were, but like they had to have been big, right?
Yeah.
But like I'm totally blanking. Whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. The point is
exactly.
it's been a few years since there was like a really big E3. Sony hasn't been there for the last few years. That being said, at this year's E3, we did still have showcases from both Xbox and Nintendo, which were pretty well received. I think we'll probably get into those slightly later. Some of the earlier showcases, though.
Yeah, do you guys want to start with the Summer Game Fest?
Sure.
Start with that.
Yeah.
I kind of have it like chronological set up in my notes here.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
So, Summer Game Fest was like, that was the one where I was like, oh yeah, it's E3 right now. I should probably tune into this. I'm not doing anything.
Sure.
See what's up. And then like, that was, spoiler alert, that was the biggest one for me. The one that I was like, oh yeah, it's E3. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, that checks
Pop
out.
into this and stuff. So the way I listed this, and I told you guys already, was that I picked like up to 3 things to talk about just so we don't drag on for eons and stuff like that.
Sure.
So the big 3 for me at the Summer Game Fest was, first of all, Death Stranding Director's Cut, which is
okay.
my favorite game that I haven't beat yet. And now they're putting out a Director's Cut, which I'm like mega excited for. And it also begs the question is like, why is this a Director's Cut? Did they not I thought Kojima had free reign the first time around? But I guess not.
What could you possibly... What did they not let you do exactly?
Exactly.
In your like weird fetus travel game? Like
so,
what ideas didn't make it through?
Yeah, it's and like the trailer for the game itself, like the Director's Cut, like much like everything for Death Stranding and like a lot of Kojima stuff, was super cryptic, but it was like very Metal Gear Solid themed.
Yeah. Yes.
Which like, you know, I saw someone say, oh, it's a metaphor for, you know, putting away like the old style of gameplay, like putting the box on the shelf.
Box back up. Yeah.
But I think there's more to it than just that.
Really?
That we're letting on.
You think?
I feel like there's always something. Like there's always like a crumb of something in there. Like, I feel like Kojima never puts out something without intent of like having something in there, you know.
Well, it's something cryptic that fans can speculate on and read into and come to their own conclusions.
And I'm not saying like he's going to implement anything like directly Metal Gear in this, obviously because of IP reasons and stuff like that, or even just like hinting at it. But there's something in there that's gonna like be in the Director's Cut.
You don't think he was hinting at like a behind the scenes deal or something?
I don't think so, but it's possible. That's the thing. It's like there's always something to chew on, like a big something to chew on in every one of these trailers, and I love it. And it frustrates me.
See, that's very interesting, because my take on it is that Kojima is exactly the kind of guy who is up his own ass enough to be that heavy-handed with the like putting away the old style of gameplay. And like, let's be clear, right? For anybody that's watching this that doesn't know, I love Metal Gear Solid. that franchise is one of my favorite in gaming. I played the original Metal Gear Solid when it came out, when I was like 8. It's how I learned what the Cold War is. It led, like, in no small part to me, like, choosing my major in university. Like, it is a very important game to me. I have a great deal of respect for Kojima, but the man is every negative stereotype about an auteur that there is, and I completely
And he's not even a filmmaker.
No! That's... But god damn it if he doesn't try.
He did say that he wants Kojima Productions to alternate between movie and video game production going forward. Fun fact.
Yeah, which by the way,
which, like, we'll see how that pans
nobody.
out. But...
Yeah, I mean, like to be fair, Bad Robot has the rights to do films for any Valve game.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was a big announcement that went nowhere. So
yeah, I was about to say, for all that mattered.
Yeah.
But I think it's equally plausible, like both your points, that like like could be something cryptic, hinting at, or could just be.
I love that nothing is off the table with like every interpretation.
Yeah.
So
this is the thing.
That's cool.
No, absolutely. Like, that's the thing, is we actually are both, like, neither of us really have more of a leg to stand on here. Because
exactly.
like, we'll find out, I guess.
What were some other announcements
at Summer Game
So
Fest?
the only other two that I pulled that were like that really grabbed me, Salt and Sacrifice, which is a sequel to the game Salt and Sanctuary. It's sort of like a 2D Souls-like. So, you know.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
I'm about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I
that's your
did
jam.
play it. Yeah, it was quite a bit of fun. But the big one, obviously, and it wasn't like announced there, but they finally showed it, and Jeff Keighley got out of video game prison. They finally showed more Elden Ring, like a bit of gameplay in there. Like, you know, we kind of got an understanding what the story is now. There's a horse that double jumps, and he just kind of like appears and disappears when you need him. There's a fucking dragon that pulls lightning out of the sky to throw at you and shit.
Sure.
I am so fucking stoked for that game. I cannot express enough.
Yeah, I'm not
how
gonna
much
lie.
I'm excited for that.
I was fairly shocked that you had 3 games. I really thought it was actually just going to be Elden Ring, frankly.
Yeah, and that's fair. And like to be honest, like once I saw that, everything else kind of just like got pushed to the side. But then I came back, so I was like, oh yeah, Death Stranding Director's Cut, Salt and Sacrifice look cool. But yeah, Elden Ring, that's like, that's all I care about, man. It's like Dark Souls just kind of ruins every other game for you in a certain way, you know? Like, it's just like once you get it and once it sinks its teeth into you, it's just like, nothing like it. It's just like
Dark Souls is a lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, but
the solution to that is to be like me and like not find Souls-likes appealing at all.
Yeah,
and then doesn't suck your life of it all. You're like, this is like a big deal for people, and that's great. I'm glad that not everything has to be for me, right? So
I was bored at work the other day, and I was like, I got 20 minutes while my trainee does this. I guess I'll start a new character on my Dark Souls on Switch.
Jesus fuck.
So now I'm rolling another sorcery character, and I'm just fucking stoked about it. So
Nice.
Dr. Magic Jr. Because
my god.
Dr. Magic's my pyromancy character I'm playing with my buddies on Xbox. So
no, of course he is. Yeah, obviously. It's unclear to me why you felt the need to tell us.
Hell yeah.
Everybody knows about Dr. Magic?
Hell yeah.
All right.
Everyone knows about Dr. Magic.
Everybody knows about Dr. Magic, ?
Should we move right on to Ubisoft?
Yeah, so obviously Far Cry 6 was the big one, right? Which is, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I'm kind of done with Far Cry.
I'm a little tapped out. Also, I gotta say.
And I have been for the last couple games. Like I gave them, I used to like Far Cry well enough, but they're too I don't
Formulaic.
know. They're formulaic and they're safe, and I just like I can't. And like they're not just safe in gameplay, they are safe in their plot and their setting and everything around it. They're just
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Like 5 really could have had something to say, but then they worried
Yes!
about the fan base
Jesus
like way
Christ.
too much.
Five
What's
so
the story
much
there?
It's so 5 is set around a like survivalist apocalyptic cult in rural Montana, and they proceeded to give them all the trappings of the American far-right militia movement. They set everything up with the iconography and just like the actual real life setting to be about like white supremacist loons. And they completely fucking backed off and decided to not say anything, and the theology such that it exists is like completely milquetoast and neutered and doesn't really say much about anything. It becomes a like a multicultural cult, which would be fine if it wasn't for all of the other trappings around it, right? Because like Jim Jones, like the People's Temple was explicitly multicultural. Jim Jones and his folks were a variation, at least, of Christian socialist, a very extreme, very bad type. But the point is that there was a coherent theology and a coherent ideology, at least to some extent, that made that make sense, and they could have done something interesting with that, or they could have done something interesting with, you know, white supremacist survivalists in rural Montana, because there is no shortage, I am here to tell you, of white supremacist compounds in rural Idaho and Montana, in some of the like most sparsely inhabited parts of the states, and Ubisoft just didn't do anything with it. They completely took their foot off the gas because, like Zach said, they were too worried about being perceived as political, and thus they just didn't say anything at all.
Ironically, the most balls that game had was the in-game testicle festival. If you remember
True facts.
that mission.
You know what? I don't, but that absolutely checks out with the tone of that game.
Because like, spoiler alert for Far Cry 5, one of the endings is like you set off a warhead and like blow up the area and nuke it, and then Far Cry New Dawn is like the sequel to that apocalyptic ending.
Yep.
Yeah, and like, okay, yeah, that's big and stuff, but like, that's not. I don't find that ballsy anymore, because like Call of Duty 4 had it. Fucking, you can nuke whatchamacallit in Fallout 3, like bombing, like nuking
Megaton.
something. Yeah, Megaton. Nuking something doesn't like affect. It doesn't affect me anymore. It's not. It doesn't feel as high stakes, which is the weirdest thing to say, but like it doesn't fucking like it doesn't have that punch anymore. You know?
I get that, and all of this is to say it's difficult for me to be excited about Far Cry 6.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
Like off the back of that, and I'll be honest with you, even Far Cry 4, I was kind of like iffy on it.
Far Cry 4 was like, oh hey, we landed something good with Vaz, so let's
do it again,
focus
but in
in
Nepal.
on that, and actually make him the villain of the entire game, and not just the halfway villain and totally blow it like the last game. So
True
and at
facts.
that point it was like, yeah, it was just like, it's kind of like my problem with Doom Eternal, because Doom 2016 is like one of my favorite games. Like, it's amazing.
Sure, yeah.
It kicks so much ass, and so it felt like id Software was like, okay, this game is metal as fuck, we have to step it up, and it was like too how do I want to say it? Like, it was too forced, you know? Like, everything, like, all, like, the metal, the tough dude stuff.
It became
like,
a bit of a parody
so
of itself.
Forced in there that was just, like, it came off so naturally in the last game, where it was, like, you know, like, the computers are telling Doom Guy all this stuff, and he just, like, grabs a screen, fucking throws it away because he doesn't give a shit about anything.
Yep.
And it's, like, all done, like, you know, no cutscenes or anything. It's all just one
all
flowing
in-engine
thing.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, like, I felt like if they had stuck with that, then it would have been good. And that's what I felt like with, like, Far Cry's villains post-Voss was just like, well, they like this guy, so we're going to up the ante and cram it down your throat and yada, yada, yada. So it was just, it didn't, yeah.
While saying nothing in the process and, like, not really not really iterating that's not fair. It did iterate. I don't feel like it iterated enough given how many we've had.
Yeah. For sure.
And, like, look, will Giancarlo Esposito do a good job? Almost certainly.
Yes.
I'm sure that he will kill that role. But, like, one actor carrying a role doesn't carry a game.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
So I will say, with regards to the Ubisoft conference, I didn't have Far Cry at all for exactly everything we just discussed.
Good.
So
I mean, I wanted to bring it up.
A bit of a discussion of the worst here.
What's that, sorry?
A bit of a discussion of the worst here.
Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah.
I mean, I felt like it was important to get that out of the way because, goddamn, did Far Cry 5 make me very angry. So now I will take it out on its sibling because
for sure.
That's how guilt works. It passes down through the family. Anyway, sins of the father. Zach, what did you have that you actually liked from Ubisoft?
Well, I liked Rocksmith Plus because I wanted to get the last one, and, like, now I'm just gonna get this one, and I don't have to worry about getting the last one. And,
sure, yeah.
Play guitar and play video games at the same time because that's my jam. Then I had Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope.
Yeah.
Which, like, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is one of the most, like, I don't want to say undeservingly good games. It's just
no.
That
right.
game was so much better than, like, it had any right to be. It's just, like, it is ostensibly, like, baby's first XCOM, like, tactics and stuff like that. But it is so fucking fun. Like, I had such a blast playing that game, and I'm definitely looking forward to this one again. So.
Yeah, I love hearing that. Like, you totally root for games like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
100%. And, like, I mean, in fairness, they're building off something pretty strong as far as, like, XCOM is fucking great. I have spent so much time on XCOM, more than I'm proud of, frankly.
And a bit of an unexpected, like, IP partnership,
right?
Between studios, like, good for them.
Well,
for making it work.
The first. Is that the first like, Nintendo IP partnership like that since, like, the fucking Philips CDI era? Because I can't think of, like,
probably because, like, typically Nintendo would go with, like, a second party developer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so there might have been some stuff, like, in the Game Boy days, but, like, yeah, it's very rare for Nintendo to just, like especially let their core Mario franchise just, like,
the guy.
Yeah.
The guy, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they probably have this, like, laundry list of, like, here's all the rules for your depictions of our characters, and, like, here's how, like, your game has to be family friendly, and, like, yeah.
Well, that, and it's just like, how do you pitch Nintendo a game where your guy, the guy, shoots a fucking gun?
Yeah.
You know?
True.
It's like,
yeah.
how do you pitch that?
Well, but Nintendo are famously comfortable with their characters being depicted in violent ways. I mean, when has Nintendo ever gone to the mat for their IP?
I mean, typically when it comes to guns, they they go with Metroid or like a Splatoon, and they make it like cartoony and like.
No. I think that you guys thought I was being serious. I was not.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that was absolutely tongue in cheek. No, they're huge bastards about it.
You sold that one really well, I gotta say.
I can tell you had that sarcastic.
You had me
tone.
there in the first part.
I'm like sitting here, and I'm like,
Just no reaction at all.
and I'm like,
Moving right
yeah.
along.
I'm like, all right, well, I guess the joke didn't land, and like that's fine. But then you start talking like, well, actually, they're pretty,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, guys.
Getting the fucking nuts and bolts of things. So yeah, the only other thing I had, other than that, and I keep forgetting it. It's called Riders Republic. But I was watching the some of the dudes from Mega 64 were co-streaming it, and the one guy called it Bike Lords 3D. And that's what that's just what I call it in my mind now. But it's just like I'm a sucker for like the extreme sports style games like that, where it's just a million dudes riding bikes down a hill and fucking wingsuiting and shit like that, just getting wild. I think that could be fun. So
I just want to put this out there. That's a much better name.
Bike Lords 3D.
Bike Lords 3D is a much better name than Riders Republic. And like if I were those devs, I would pay Mega 64 whatever they wanted and rebrand my game.
Well, they could reignite their partnership. Fucking that's like a part of the reason Mega 64 got big is they started advertising for Splinter Cell like in like 2004 or 5 or something like that. Oh man,
Splinter Cell. There's a franchise that's never coming back, no matter how badly the fans want it to.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like I saw some allusion to Splinter Cell in some trailer for something this year, but I can't remember what it is now. But
I mean, an illusion maybe, but like it's never happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm sure.
Cut to next year's E3 when that's a big announcement.
Look, I'll be honest. I've kind of been not lukewarm, but I definitely didn't like Splinter Cell as much as you would expect, given that I like stealth games. That having been said, though, I do genuinely hope that comes back, because that is like that's a fairly like important game franchise to a lot of people. So I'm genuinely rooting for them. I just personally don't give a shit.
Yeah, but if they bring it back, they got to have Michael Ironside do the voice of that, for sure.
Obviously. No, have to. Michael Ironside doesn't get enough appreciation generally. Like,
absolutely.
There's a podcast I listened to called Space the Nation, and a little while back they were talking about Starship Troopers, and I rewatched that movie, and Michael Ironside crushes in that film.
Fuck yeah.
Also, anybody that ever believed that film was like legit instead of satire is horrifying to me.
Darren and I
deeply alarming.
We went back and watched some Starship Troopers, and we were looking into like there's a few games that came of it, and like those would be so fun to just see what they're like.
Yeah.
Like, did anyone know there were Starship Trooper games?
I mean, I'm sure that my reaction just now tells you that I sure didn't. And I have difficulty believing that it could be done well, especially given that film came out in 98?
97, 98, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
somewhere around there. Movie tie-in games around then were...
97.
Not great movie tie-in games just around that particular era. Not great.
Yeah, so first-person shooter came out in 2005.
That is way too late to make a Starship Troopers game.
Yeah.
That is.
Was that like to hype up one of the direct-to-DVD sequels, or what?
It has to have been, or worse, the book.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Like, but I mean, man, if you have to go off the book because you can't get the rights to Starship Troopers the movie, like,
yeah.
Maybe just make something else.
It was piggybacking off of the 2004 release of Starship Troopers 2: Hero of the Federation.
Yeah, you were right.
I knew it. Fuck yeah.
Brutal. Man, there was the early 2000s were, do you remember all of the movie tie-in games and how they were all bad except for the Lord of the Rings ones?
And Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, but was that a movie tie-in? I thought that was
Yes.
its own thing. Okay. It's been
That's
a while.
absolutely movie tie-in.
I believe you. It's been a while since I played it.
I had the Da Vinci Code game. What happens when you? I completed it. When you complete the game, you get like a bonus level where you essentially get to walk around. Like they recreated the Louvre.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And you can walk around and look at all the artwork at your own pace and not be bothered by anyone else in those rooms.
Oh, my God.
That's like when you 100% a Lego game.
Yeah.
You just walk around like all the fucking Lego shit.
Yeah,
Man,
it
that
was
is unreal.
so not worth it.
And I didn't play it, but I do remember seeing gameplay footage of... There was a tie-in game of Reign of Fire, which, do you remember that movie?
No.
Like a little bit. I feel like
mean,
it's like one that I always saw in like the bin at the checkout at Canadian Tire.
I mean, frankly, that's where it belongs. If you are unfamiliar with Reign of Fire, it's like a post-apocalyptic film, but the apocalypse was dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Christian
we-
Bale and McConaughey. Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Like there were people in that film that were way too big to be in that film, and it has, bar none, the worst green screen that I have ever seen in a motion picture. Especially of its budget. It's like completely unacceptable that this was ever allowed to happen.
Hell yeah.
And then they did a tie-in game that, as far as I can tell, is even worse than the film that it is based on, which is like no small feat. All of this is to say, I would be very, very shocked if a tie-in game from the mid-2000s based off of a direct-to-DVD movie was not hot trash.
Yeah. Though if we could find that, I would play the fucking
Yeah.
shit
Yeah,
out of it.
I know.
Absolutely.
Like we'd all play it. But that's like not the point.
Yeah, that's future video ideas there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Fucking make a note. So Ubisoft was where we were still on. So we talked about the glory of Mario and Rabbids. And then we were moving into, what'd you have next on your list, Zach?
That was Bike Lords 3D was
Oh, Bike
the end of
Lords.
my-
I forgot.
was the end of my Ubisoft. So
I forgot about Bike. How did I forget about Bike Lords? Okay, I take it back then. What was the next showcase? Because I don't really have anything to add.
The next one I have is Microsoft, Microsoft and Bethesda. So
Oh, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? But right, yes, okay.
yeah, the Microsoft conference. So I didn't have like a whole hell of a lot to say about this. Like, I kind of figured Starfield was gonna be Xbox exclusive, which is like, okay, yeah, whatever. And then I was like, they're not gonna show Deathloop at all because that's PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
So that's out the window. The only things that really grabbed me was this game called Replaced. It was like, it's like, it kind of looks like a 2.5D like atmosphere, but your player character and everything is all like pixel, all like the characters and stuff like that.
I remember.
And it
That's
reminded me
cool.
of this game that they announced at I think it was 2017's E3. It was called The Last Night, and it was like the same thing. And that one was based off a Game Jam from a few years before. And we haven't heard anything about The Last Night since then because like there was a huge controversy with like the creators of that game, like where the guy was like going off on some like anti-feminist like Gamergate shit.
Oh yeah,
And so like basically since that got announced, it was like, oh shit, and we haven't heard anything from that. And so like I don't think it's a rebrand of The Last Night, but it was so aesthetically similar that I can't
you kind of wonder
split the two apart. Yeah. So that looks sick though. And so like I'm looking forward to see where that goes. And the only other thing I had was a co-op game called Redfall from Arcane Austin.
Yes, I am also interested.
Yeah, I am very interested in that game. It looks like it'll be cool. And Arcane Austin is the team that did Prey from 2017.
Absolutely.
So I am like on board for sure. I love Prey a lot. So
I am near to finishing Prey. And I have really enjoyed it. That by itself is enough for me to be interested in Redfall. Also, people who know me will know that I'm kind of a chump for vampires for reasons that aren't totally clear to me, and like doesn't make me very comfortable. But there we have it. So I'm interested to see that. I saw a lot of people talking about how they were like, "Oh, it's going to be another like 4-person co-op shooter," and it was a totally CGI trailer, and based on what Arcane's done before, it is not obvious to me at all that that's what is going to happen. It could be, right? It could be.
Yeah.
It could be like
it could be.
Right? Like it could be like a hero shooter with vampires, more like Vermintide than Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
But I see no reason to believe that at this stage, and I think that they have issued statements since then suggesting that it was going to be an open world game of some sort, which puts me off.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, which puts me off a little because I'm burnt out on open worlds. But the point is that there does seem to be a suggestion that this is not going to be a 4-person co-op shooter. There was, I mean, it's CGI. It's a CGI trailer, so it's hard to comment on anything beyond like the aesthetic and the apparent setting, but of that I liked what I saw, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so we'll see. There was some cool shit there. It's a minor thing to mention, but I appreciated the woman who reloaded using telekinesis, because if I had telekinesis, it seems to me that that's a thing that I would do like all the time.
Yes.
Although her powers also were not quite telekinesis, it was more like she was the Green Lantern, but it was purple, which is better, I think, than green, and thus she is better than the Green Lantern. You heard
completely
it here
agree.
Yes, absolutely. You heard it here first. The woman whose name I don't know, from a game that hasn't come out yet, is better than the Green Lantern.
And no one that is part of our crew that is better versed in DC Comics than any of us currently chatting is going to argue that point. I'll just say that right now.
Yep.
No fucking kidding.
That's all I had for Microsoft. Like Game Pass, cool. Like it's coming to TVs and stuff like that, cool and stuff. But like that, that's all right.
That was your thing.
That was my
there were a few additional things that I was interested in at Bethesda Microsoft. I am looking forward to the new Battlefield. I gave Battlefield 5 a miss, or Battlefield V. I don't actually know how it's supposed to be pronounced, and I don't give a shit. Their naming scheme makes no sense.
Yeah.
Batman
5 Superman.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly.
2 battle, 2 field.
2 battle, 2
drift.
field.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they haven't made a Battlefield 1944 seems like a huge mistake, because it seems like you could have done that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, the last Battlefield I played was 1, which I quite liked, even though a lot of people did not, I think. Although it was better received than Battlefield V or 5 ended up being. I, most of the time, quite like Battlefield. I like the I like the larger, sprawling kind of feel of it. I like that it is not nearly as fast paced as Call of Duty. I am a lot less of a shooter guy than I used to be, but to the extent that I do like shooters, I like shooters like Battlefield that have at least the option for fairly strong team elements. I'm not a huge I'm not huge about doing things on my own because, quite frankly, I'm too old for that shit now. I don't have the reflexes anymore to compete with 13-year-olds. They're just faster. You know?
If you don't want to play against 13-year-olds, you should play Nintendo games.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, Nintendo, famously the console for adults. Which is why when I was setting up my account earlier, it was like, do you also want to set up an account for a child? It's like, I do not. But it is telling that this is part of your main thing.
All the kids are
child.
Yeah, all the kids are playing Call of Duty. All the adults are playing reboots of Pokemon on their Switch.
That actually, there is more truth to that than perhaps any of us are comfortable with. Age marches on. That being said, I also confess I am actually kind of interested in Back 4 Blood. We'll see.
I forgot about that, actually. I forgot that was at Microsoft's conference. Yeah, I could fuck with that too, for sure.
Yeah, and it had its own later too, briefly. But
yeah.
I am interested. I could definitely see it. I can see a few ways that it could tank, but I think that the card system is an interesting premise and could give some much needed variability.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. I am not I'm not pinning my hopes on it or anything, but I'll probably give it a shot when it comes out. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll have to see. Other than that, though, I don't know. Was that everything for me? Oh, not that I'm super up on this, but it is interesting that Diablo 2 Resurrected is coming out that soon. It's September or something, which is much faster.
September or October, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, which is much sooner than I thought it was going to be. But
hell yeah.
There you have it, right? No complaints from me anyway. I liked Diablo 2 quite a bit when it came out. I'm not one of those people that played it a lot since then, but when it comes out, I'll probably give it a look. Some folks were freaked out about the fuckery around Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, that was a disaster.
Yes, however, the Diablo 2 Resurrected that they're doing, I don't know. I have a hard time believing that Blizzard won't have learned from its mistakes, given how disastrous that was. There also appear to be less changes to the infrastructure of the game. You can actually, if I remember right, toggle off the textures that are running on top of it. If you want
cool.
to go back to the original. I think. I'm not 100% on that, but
anyway. I am all for games that do remasters that way.
Oh, that you can toggle on and off?
Yeah. I like that totally adds to the Halo experience when you can revisit
definitely.
the OG.
Yeah, well, I mean if only because it can give you it's a quick way to let you know how much they've done on it,
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that was all I had for Bethesda Microsoft. What did we have next on the docket exactly?
The next thing I have is Square Enix. Which I have only one thing to bring up about. The only thing that made me smile or laugh was once again watching. I saw this later. I didn't get to actually see it live, but a couple of guys from Mega 64 were watching it, and when they were showing off the Final Fantasy 1 through 6 pixel. So Rocco from Mega 64, his favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy 4. And so he saw that and he just fucking popped off. And he loves 6 too, but anyhow, he saw that and he's just like, thank you, this is all I wanted. And then the other guy's like, what are they gonna put it on? He's like, I don't care, just give it to me however. 10 seconds later, Steam and mobile, and he's just like fucking out.
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah.
He's just like, he was so defeated, just Steam and mobile, and he just walks off, and the other guy's just killing himself laughing. The official Twitch gaming Twitter or whatever, they were taking like fan reactions to like all the stuff that were shown and stuff like that, and they took the start of that reaction when he was like happy about Square Enix posting these games, and he's just like, oh, this is all I wanted, and then just cut it there. It's like all these people that don't know the rest of the story. Like, if only they knew.
So perfect.
Fuck. That's hilarious.
That was a wild
it for me.
That was a wild choice. Yeah, we're remastering like Final Fantasy 1 to 6, but not on console. No console.
Mm-hmm.
Only Steam and mobile. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, also there is one other thing, or two other things from the Microsoft conference I want to go back to. But now that we've started this, let's finish this and then loop back.
I will say that like the mobile game world is like printing money for like big IPs, so like it makes sense.
It's not that the business case is bad.
Yeah,
it's weird.
That's what it's only a business case. It's like none of the fans are really asking for these mobile games, but like if you already have a well-loved established IP and you can put it on mobile, then yeah, you're just printing money.
Absolutely, yeah, and so I don't blame them. I don't blame them for putting it on mobile. It's very weird to not have any of those games on any console, especially because that shit is like made for the Switch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like those games are perfect for that. And now we have to talk about A Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins.
Yes, please. I didn't give a shit about basically anything from Square Enix, but everything I've heard about this has been like one disaster after another. I'm really curious.
So for anybody who's watching this, I am 30 years old, and I have been gaming pretty much since I was 5-ish, thereabouts. I can honestly say it is the trailer for A Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins, is one of the worst trailers I have ever seen released by a company of Square Enix's size and reputation. It is incoherent. It is comically repetitive. It has a color palette composed primarily of black and dark gray. The protagonist, despite being in a like medievalish setting, wearing a t-shirt, even though his companions appear to be dressed in a more typical fashion for what you would expect of the setting. And going back to the cartoonishly repetitive thing, so this trailer is like 3 minutes long. The protagonist declares that his intent is to kill Chaos. It has to be 6 or 7 times within a 3-minute span. He says, I'm here to kill Chaos. In some variation, but like 7 times.
I'm here to kill Chaos. Looks like Chaos has been waiting for us. I want to kill Chaos.
You sure Chaos is here?
This is the Shrine of Chaos. Chaos. We're here to kill Chaos.
It's Garland!
No. I become Chaos.
And all of this is in service of a prequel to the original Final Fantasy, which is a dog shit game that absolutely nobody could play today and honestly tell me is enjoyable. The only thing that game ever did that was any good is spawn the rest of the Final Fantasy series. Now, was it fine for its time? Maybe. I can't go back in time to fucking 1985 and tell you whether or not it was, like, good for the time that it was out. Maybe it genuinely was. Fair enough. It does not hold up. That game is clunky. It is unfun. It is repetitive garbage. And Square Enix was like, you know what we need? People are clamoring for more of that. Let's go back to the very beginning to fill out the exciting story of heroes kill bad guy. Unfucking real.
That was they've got like a wall of all of their like previous properties, and they just like covered their eyes and threw a dart. It's like, well, that's what we're making next.
It has to be. And like, look, here's the thing. The idea of reaching into your back catalog and doing something else in that world, that actually could have been cool, right? And I would maybe be less down on it if they didn't fail the landing so hard. And then the thing that could have maybe saved this announcement, this terrible trailer, because it is just a trailer, right? It's hard to tell what a game is going to be like based off of that. But after that faceplant, the thing that could have redeemed them is people getting their hands on the demo, which the game's developed by Ninja Theory, who have some, Team Ninja. Who've done some good stuff in the past. So maybe people get their hands on the demo, they give it they play it, and it's like, oh, this is actually pretty good, and that's, that maybe offsets the bad taste in people's mouths left by the trailer. But then the demo didn't work. The demo was broken.
The data was corrupted on the demo.
Oh, man.
It could not load. And, like, okay, they have fixed it now. Some of the initial impressions are that it's fairly fun. It seems to be kind of like a Nioh reskin. So if you're into that, genre of game, then it seems like it actually might be not too bad. But holy shit. Just like one failure after another. And like successive faceplants. It's genuinely remarkable that they managed to fuck it up so badly. And in retrospect, is it weird that Final Fantasy 16 wasn't there? Like, I guess not, because it is going to be PlayStation timed exclusive, I think. So maybe not so weird that it's not there yet. I was kind of hoping, though, that we would see something about Final Fantasy 16. I would like to know a rough idea of when it's coming out, even if it's just like 2022, unstated.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that would be fine. I have a PS5. I think that game is probably going to look really good on that system. I would like to know a bit more about it, because what I've seen so far in terms of the background and the setting interests me. I would have liked to see a bit more of that, but we didn't get it, and that's okay. I actually did like what I saw of Guardians of the Galaxy. I know that it put some people off.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic, I think is what I would say. It could definitely... I can see how it could faceplant, and I do think that in the trailer, during the fights, the quips were too much. Like...
Yeah.
A character was saying something almost every moment that combat was happening, and it was a little overwhelming. That said, in my experience, that stuff tends to be toned up in the trailer.
Yes.
More than it is in the actual game.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right, so like if they kind of space that out a bit more reasonably, then I think that could be fine. But yeah, I actually liked what I saw of Guardians. But I guess we'll have to see. Being stuck playing Quill is kind of a bummer, but it could be done well. So I'm reserving judgment, I guess. Is what I'm saying. But I'll be watching for sure.
My expectations about that game are like firmly planted in the ground. Like, there's nowhere to go but I guess there is. You could go further down if you want to dig
Yeah.
yourself a hole. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, like I'm.
Oh, you mean
I'm
after
so,
Avengers?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like yeah. So
The thing
I'm not optimistic and I'm not pessimistic about it. I'm just kind of like it's there.
It could
I'll take it-
exceed
I'll take it when it-
expectations.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
the
take
thing
it for
that-
what it is when it comes out.
the thing that gives me some hope about it is not like this was in develop long before Avengers was a thing, and I'm blanking on his. I think is it Dan Abnett? I think it's Abnett. I'd have to double check. Anyway, the writer that was brought in to work on that game is responsible for like some of the most highly regarded arcs of Guardians of the Galaxy, like in the modern comics. So that also helps because in story-driven single-player games, the plot matters and the characterization matters, like it just does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the gameplay is even serviceable, the rest of it could really pull it up. But like we'll have to see how it goes. Did you have anything else that you want to add about the Square Enix conference? Either of you?
No.
Life is Strange, True Colors.
Okay, like you wanted to talk about that?
Yeah, that's literally I was.
Oh, just that.
I saw that announcement. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, fair enough. I want to circle back before we continue because there were two actually fairly important things about Microsoft Bethesda that I forgot to mention that I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
I loved The Outer Worlds, and I'm very amped about the fact
Oh right.
that they are,
I forgot about that trailer.
I am very amped that they are making a sequel. That was a game that was very well received at the time, and then the internet kind of soured on it a bit after it had been out for a while, and I don't know if that's just because, like, I don't know if that's a thing where people changed their mind or if it was sour grapes, but, like, so that game was short, and there were real problems with it, but I liked it plenty, and I think that Obsidian having Microsoft money behind it now might make a real difference in terms of what they're able to achieve with the scope. So I will be watching that closely, and I will be picking that up. Pretty sure because I quite enjoyed Outer Worlds. It's hard to say much else on it right now because it was just like a comedic trailer saying that
That trailer was awesome.
It was a very good trailer. It was a very good trailer. I just mean in terms of like what to say about the game, there isn't much yet. But
yeah, for sure.
That was a very good trailer.
That is the first one is definitely a game I plan to stream in the future. Now that I think all the DLC is out,
it is.
Yeah, I will definitely be playing that on stream at some point. So
yeah, I would strongly recommend it. The other thing that caught my eye that I understand has kind of been vaporware, and people aren't really sure what the fuck is going on with it, is Atomic Heart, which is this like weird alternate universe like Soviet first-person shooter in the 50s with very, very unnerving automatons.
I forgot. I forget when they actually announced that. It's been a couple years though.
Absolutely, it was like 2018 or 19, I think.
Yeah.
And there wasn't much shown here, so like
probably about as much as like the last time, honestly. So
right, exactly. So I have no idea if this game's ever actually going to come out, but like I'm interested.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
That was kind of all that I wanted to add, though. I wanted to mention Atomic Heart because I also thought that was actually a pretty good trailer, and then Outer Worlds too. But we can move on now. I just wanted to make sure that I got those bits in.
Cool. So the next three that I have, I'm gonna go on a limb and say that overall there probably won't be too much discussion about them. Certainly, probably two of them. But the next one I have on my list is the Limited Run Games Conference, which was on my radar because, once again, Mega 64. Rocco edited the whole conference, and they also like shot some cameos and stuff for it. But I thought it was cool that they had their own conference, and there was only a couple things that like really popped out at me, for better or worse, which we'll get into in a second. So they're doing like a physical release of Zombies Ate My Neighbors / Ghoul Patrol. That's coming to, I believe they did SNES and Genesis cartridges as well, on top of like PS4 and Switch.
Sweet.
They're also bringing the Castlevania Symphony of Night and Rondo of Blood to, I believe, Switch and PS4 physical. Okay. And their Rondo of Blood originally came out for the TurboGrafx 16 or the Turbo Duo or something like that. Anyhow, it was Japanese only, and they gutted it to make Dracula X in America for SNES. But they're actually making Rondo of Blood and putting it out for TurboGrafx, like physical, like all these years later. So like I thought that was pretty fucking cool.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
That is neat.
But the last thing, which like I don't know if you guys know about this game. If you've watched Angry Video Game Nerd in the past, maybe you have. Limited Run Games is doing a physical release of the 3DO classic Plumbers Don't Wear Ties.
Okay.
If you guys have heard that game, it's like, it's kind of, I guess, a point and click, but it's kind of a slideshow, and it is one of the worst games ever made. But there's something so like ridiculous and nostalgic about it. Like
it's kind of like a night trappy sort of game.
I was gonna say Limited Run did Night Trap and like
sure.
Night Trap. So yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just like something about like the year of our Lord 2021 sees the return of Plumbers Don't Wear Ties on Nintendo Switch. So yeah, you better fucking believe I'm buying that.
Yeah. Stream that. Definitely stream that.
No, I probably can't, because if I remember correctly, there is nudity in it.
Whatever. Cut to your main camera just whenever there's nudity.
It is. I think it's sort of like an otome in a way, like a romance game of some sort. But it's like it's all just like pictures some guy took on like a Pentax K1000. like a picture camera, and then they just like slideshowed it together. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'm just looking at it on Google Images and like,
yeah, it's a fucking ride.
What is this?
Yeah, I'm excited. So but yeah, that's all I had for that one. The next on my list is Capcom, which literally the only thing I have on Capcom is the like 15 to 20 seconds or whatever that they said, hey, we're doing DLC for Resident Evil 8 because y'all liked it so much. That's all. I mean,
I don't think they said anything else.
That like, really, they didn't say anything else.
Like the Capcom conference had nothing. That was the thing. Yeah. Everybody was like, oh, or like maybe we're gonna get fucking Mega Man or something. And it's like, nope. No. Wait, I mean,
but here you go, Resident Evil 8 DLC.
Capcom has earned some goodwill, in the sense that they've had a good few years.
Yes.
However, the E3 conference, bit of a flop. Flop.
Absolutely.
Absolutely the sort of thing where it's like a conference that could have been a tweet.
Yes.
Like, right? Like the meeting that could have been an email, the conference that for sure could have been a tweet. And you would have caught everybody up. And what was next on your list, Zach?
The last one that I think won't have a lot of discussion, but maybe, is the Devolver Digital conference, which I missed. I didn't get to see it this year, but the three that I picked out that interested me, there's a game. It's called Trek to Yomi. I didn't catch the developer, but it basically looks like a 2D Ghost of Tsushima, like black and white samurai game. I should say like 2.5D, not strictly 2D, but
I gotcha.
Yeah, side-scrolling type dealy. all black and white. Looks cool.
Cool.
The next is called Inscription, and the crypt part is crypt like a a crypt.
Oh yeah.
This is
clever.
from the Pony Island / the Hex developer, and it's like a roguelike deck building game with what did they say? It was a roguelike deck building game with like escape room puzzles and a lot of psychological horror. Which
That is super fascinating. I am all for all of that.
Interesting.
If you guys haven't checked out Pony Island, definitely check out Pony Island. I have the Hex, but I haven't played it yet. Yeah. And then the last thing for Devolver I have is a game called Demon Throttle, which it's I can't remember the name of the developer now. But they made this game called Gato Roboto for Nintendo Switch.
Oh,
I think it might be on Steam also. But it's like that's like a Metroidvania sort of thing. Demon Throttle is like an 8-bit top-down shoot 'em up. Looks like you're like a cowboy dude and you're fighting demons with your wife and stuff.
As you do.
The thing about that is it's not going to be available digitally. It's physical only from Special Reserve Games, which is basically like another kind of limited run game. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like you don't really see that anymore.
No, I know. I'm maybe just being curmudgeonly about it. No, you're probably right. You're probably right.
Retro games getting physical releases on modern consoles is like the equivalent of like hipsters liking vinyl,
Kind of, yeah. Actually, here, hold on a second. I'll be right back.
I think that is why I react so strongly. I think because it feels exactly like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's not your thing, but some people really enjoy that from like a collection standpoint.
Yes, I am a little uncomfortable with the potential gatekeepiness of it, but it's
also
honestly...
a surprise for whoever's editing this and possibly viewers. I am wearing pajama pants because I'm going to bed the second we're done.
Oh yeah, no. I'll be honest with you. I assumed that you would have been wearing pajama pants just because you're at home. I would be wearing them if it wasn't hot.
I guess that too. But I have. This is the Enter the Gungeon special edition from Special Reserve, which has like this cool cover and shit like that. This is like a physical only character, but it also came with. There's a book called the Ammonomicon in game, and it details like all the guns and bullets and enemies and stuff like that.
Oh,
it's
cool.
a super good, like super cool release. So like that's why I'm like extra excited about this, because I know they put a lot of effort in and they make it look fucking cool. So
and that is cool. Like
so I think
the collector's edition part I think is neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's super cool.
Yeah, like that part is neat. I think I don't know if you heard, but I was saying to Jason that I think that that's exactly right. My reaction to it is largely the like, this feels like hipsters and vinyl thing, and I am raging for no reason.
Well, it's a collector thing, but yeah, Josh was bringing up while you were away for a second that like it could physical only could feel kind of gatekeepy.
Oh, for sure.
Which is a fair point.
But I also take the point that like, for the number of people that are going to play this game in the first place, it probably doesn't matter that much.
Exactly. I think that's this sort of thing is better suited for like an indie title like this for sure.
Agreed.
But yeah, that's all I had about Devolver. So now we get on to the big one, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Which like I'm not a Nintendo fanboy. Like the first Nintendo home console I ever bought was a Switch. So
oh really?
Yeah. So like for me to be like Nintendo was the one that got me the most out of all of them is like kind of huge.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I have on here, Super Monkey Ball Bananamania.
Yeah. Oh, I knew you. I knew
so
you would
excited.
love that. I was excited
like
for
like,
you.
I like a good like physics based like platformy sort of thing like that. Like there's a game, I think it's only on Switch. It's called Marble It Up. It's like I don't know if you remember Marble Blast Ultra from 360 Days or whatever, but it's basically like that. It's just like you move a marble around a course and try to get to the end. I fucking love games like that. Right. And so like to finally get like the whole Monkey Ball package in one. I'm just like, fuck yeah, dude. I'm so stoked for that, for sure. One thing I didn't put on here, which I am excited about, was adding Kazuya as the next character in Smash.
Oh, right.
Because I was just like, as soon as I saw like Ganondorf being carried and like carried to a volcano, I was like, it's got to be Kazuya or it's Heihachi. Because like, from the limited bit I know about Tekken, and I have played a bunch of Tekken 7, so it's not like I just know the story or anything, but like, they always end the games, their character stories, by throwing each other into a volcano, or like Heihachi did, threw Kazuya into a volcano when he was a child, and then they just keep throwing each other in volcanoes for like the next couple games. And so I'm just like, it's fucking one of them. And like, I am sad because personally I fucking love Heihachi way more than Kazuya.
Right.
But Kazuya's cool. So like, at least Heihachi's there, I think, as like an assist or something like that. But like, it's cool, and I hope
Makes sense.
it's kind of like what they did.
Do
with,
they have
like,
similar
Ryu.
movesets?
Well, that's what I was wondering, if it's going to be like with Ryu and Ken, where it's like, if you can pull off like the quarter turns and shit like that from like the actual like Tekken game, or in their case Street Fighter, but like the more technical move, like you get like a damage bonus for your attacks in game. And I'm wondering if it's going to be something like that. I think that'd be super cool if they kept that in too. So yeah, I think Kazuya would be a lot of fun. Like when they added Terry Bogard from Fury and King of Fighters and stuff like that, fucking Terry Bogard, so much fun to play as. So I'm really looking forward to like another like fighting game character being added instead of another fucking Fire Emblem dipshit or something. You know?
Another anime swords person.
I'm sorry, I know, but
Coming
there's
for
just a
Fire
lot of
Emblem.
them.
A lot of the fighting game characters do kind of play the same too, but like
Yeah, sure.
not nearly as bad as like all of the anime swordsmen, which are just clones of each other.
There's a lot of anime swordsman Fire Emblem characters.
Yeah, which
And,
is
like-
like that's
And I know Fire Emblem's like a lot bigger in Japan probably than North America, and so like the representation for that is, you know.
oh yeah, that makes
requested.
sense.
Oh yeah, I know for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just like, man, like there's like eight or 9 at this point.
I agree.
Yeah,
That is too
well,
many.
it's like I don't think anyone in Japan gave a shit about Banjo-Kazooie being introduced.
Oh, yeah, for sure,
But that
yeah.
was so huge in Europe and North America that it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And there's always going to be some give and take that way.
yeah.
For
Regionally,
sure, for sure.
everyone gets a favorite.
Absolutely. Now that being said, though, Japan's going to get more. So like,
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
so like, don't go toe to toe with them because you'll lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the next thing on my list is motherfucking Metroid Dread. Holy fucking shit! I'm
Oh,
so
yeah.
excited for this game.
Wow. Yeah.
Dude, yes. Like, Super Metroid is one of my favorite games ever. I'm so looking forward to, like, a brand new 2D Metroid that's not a remake of the second one for Game Boy. Like,
Right.
brand new, its own thing. Apparently, this is the end of the Samus and Metroid storyline, whatever the fuck that means.
Really?
Yeah.
So,
Well, we'll see about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was about
like-
to say. Yeah.
It's probably gonna be something like the fucking like Elric, the whatever his name is, the Michael Moorcock books, where they're like, "Hey, we ended the story in like '67, but we're gonna keep writing 20 more
Forever.
novels past that." Yeah, so yeah,
So that
I
it's-
imagine it's gonna be like that.
Developed by Mercury Steam Entertainment.
I recognize the developer, but I can't.
So in like
Put my
Sounds
finger
very
on it.
dangerous.
like 2010,
Yes.
2013, 2014, they did some Castlevania games.
Okay.
So I'm surprised by this. I had just assumed that it was Retro Studios that did it because it's a Metroid game.
Yeah, I don't know if they said they're even doing Prime 4, which Prime 4 we still don't know what the fuck's going on with that.
Yeah.
I was expecting maybe to hear something about that.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm hoping when they announce actually announce it, make it more concrete, they'll be like, "Hey, we're going to bring the other 3 to Switch." Cuz I've never played any of the
Yeah.
Prime games. I played Prime 1 a bit, but I haven't played any of the other ones.
Metroid games can often get stuck in development hell.
Yeah.
So yeah, seeing Dread it was so exciting, so refreshing to see purely
Yeah.
2D gameplay, modern graphics, fast-paced. Like,
well, when it was like
gonna be such an enjoyable
when it hit you with
game.
the Metroid 5 in the trailer, that's when I was like, ooh, yeah, like, because like that they did that in Super Metroid in the title. It says like Metroid 3, Super Metroid, and I was like, fuck yeah, dude. I'm like, oh yeah, cannot wait for that game. I'm so excited.
Well,
And then the last thing.
Oh, go on.
Okay, no, sorry, you go ahead.
All I was gonna say is that I'm glad for you because as a guy who has played Castlevania and Metroid, I can safely say Metroidvanias not really my thing. The backtracking, I don't care for it.
Well, as of
it.
today, you own a Switch, so you can give this one a shot.
Well,
Whenever it comes out.
we'll see.
Yeah.
What were you going to say was next on your list? Then?
my last one, and this is not going to be Breath in the Wild 2 because like they showed a trailer, looked kind of cool and stuff.
Sure.
Little Skyward Swordy. But my last big one, believe it or not, which I think you guys probably remember me screaming about at you in our group chat, the new WarioWare game.
Oh, yes.
Holy fuck yeah, dude. I fucking love WarioWare.
Me too.
The screaming.
Honestly, WarioWare is never disappointing.
Yeah.
It's mindless, but it's so much fun. It's
just throwing like a shitload of micro games at you, like bam, 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 like pick it up on the fly. You have like 3 seconds to learn it, figure it out, beat it, and then we move on and like keep partying, you know?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, I'm so stoked for that.
It's basically like when Nintendo is developing hardware behind the scenes and they're just trying to figure out what sort of things you can do with it. They come up with all these like tiny little mini games, and like that ends up becoming a WarioWare game, which is just rapid fire. Like,
chaos.
Here's a mechanic. Here's like 3 seconds to learn a mechanic. Go, you're playing now.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean, it's a cool niche, if nothing else. Or, I mean, it's cool because it fills a niche, rather. Because, like, can you name another game that does something like that? I actually can't.
I can't.
The Mario Party games or 1-2 Switch. Like,
I think 1-2 Switch more than Mario Party, which like they also announced the Mario Party Superstars.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did announce that.
Because like Mario Party is still like they still give you a second to, here's the tutorial, here's how you learn.
Yeah.
And here's like 60 seconds to learn, like, play the game. This is like, fuck you, here we go, 3 seconds, baby, figure it out, pick that nose, like, we're going, you know. It's like
another thing about WarioWare is that it's full of original characters.
Yeah. Like, that you don't see like anywhere else.
They're just in the Wario universe, but like there's kind of a cult following behind like just like the super random, like, I don't know, there's a random disco dancer dude, and there's like
the Franks.
Yeah.
Yellow dudes, yeah.
There's a witch. Like,
yeah.
Pure randomness, mindless fun. I'm super stoked for it.
Yeah. That's like the one, like my buddy Matt, like when we first started hanging out, we played Game & Wario for Wii U like all the time. And so like when I got that, I texted him, I was like, "You're never gonna believe it, dude. Fucking WarioWare's new game for the Switch." He's like, "Fuck, I guess I'm gonna have to buy one now."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. We're gonna play the shit out of that." So,
another game that I'm excited for, which I didn't expect to be excited for, was Mario Golf. Like, I don't know why I'm excited for like a fucking golf game. But like,
no.
Battle golf. That's it. It's battle golf. Like,
I also want to submit that Mario Golf back on was it GameCube that they did Mario Golf and I played it? I think so. Mario Golf is the only golf game I've ever played that's been any good. Like, any golf game anywhere.
Well, every golf game is like
you
this...
need to play Pebble Beach Golf Links for the Sega Genesis.
Outlaw Golf for
As
the
a kid.
PlayStation 2.
I would submit I don't have to play either of those.
Or
And,
Kirby's Dream Course for SNES.
Look, I had 5 games for my Sega Genesis, my dad's Sega Genesis.
Gotcha.
Pebble Beach Golf Links, Joe Madden Sports Talk Football 2, Mario Mew Hockey, Jungle Strike, and I can't even think of the last one now.
Did you not have Sonic?
See, we had Sonic 1, and then my dad traded with a friend, and it was one of those lifetime trades, so we never got it back. And I had to buy Sonic 2 at a garage sale for 50 cents when I was like 15 to finally like own it.
Man, every
had
part
the
about
Tick.
that story.
The
The Tick.
What a garbage game. Amazing property, but oh my god,
I can't believe
dude.
you had the Tick and not Sonic
I
on
know.
the Genesis.
And here's the thing. I went to I got the Tick as a gift. I went to buy Sonic and Knuckles at the video store that was closing down, and I went to go buy it, and they're like, "Oh, we're holding this for someone else, but we have Spider-Man Maximum Carnage over here if you want to buy that instead." I was like, "I guess so."
Those are not the same games.
And it sucked so bad. I didn't get Sonic till I was like a fucking teenager.
Oh, man.
But it's like the game that Sega
I
did.
know. And Sonic 2 is one of my favorite games, but I played it at my cousin's house like all the time, so I'm not like completely deprived
I
of my
gotcha.
childhood. But yeah, Pebble Beach Golf Links.
We had a
was a
Game
jam.
Gear. And
Fuck yeah.
dude, Game Gears were so sick for the like 3 hours
3 hours
that they would
and the
like,
six AA batteries.
Yes, it was so expensive to run. But you were getting like really nice like color screens in like 1997 or
Yeah.
whatever, right? And it had the Lion King, which is still one of the hardest games that I've ever played in my whole life. And going back as an
Absolutely.
adult, it's actually no easier.
Yeah.
Like emotionally difficult?
Nope.
No, it's
Nope.
like one of the hardest platformers of all time.
It's fucking brutal. It sucks. That game doesn't like you very much.
Yeah.
Going back to the Nintendo conference. So I just there is one game that I'm going to talk about, but before I do that, I do want to draw attention to the fact that Jason described what he said. Are you interested in that new Onryo Pokemon Snap? And he meant Fatal Frame.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So-
Which
I was gonna bring that up too. Like it's not exclusive actually. It's just part of the Nintendo announcement, and
yeah.
it was
Well, I thought it was a port of the Wii U.
it is.
right.
Fatal Frame. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So this is an updated version of I guess a 2014 game.
Yeah.
Such an odd choice for the Nintendo showcase. For the
Yeah.
record,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
You gotta have
so,
something that's not all cutesy.
Yeah.
But do you have to have something that's so not cutesy? and they had another thing that isn't cutesy, which is the game I was going to talk about, which is Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Right.
Which is bright, but not at all cutesy. I will probably give Shin Megami Tensei a miss, although I could be persuaded closer to the time. As fond as I am of Atlas, I think the problem for me is that I like Atlas most when they are doing story things instead of dungeony things. And Shin Megami Tensei, like that whole series, it has sucked a number of people in, myself included, who liked Persona and were like, oh, well, the Persona games were originally a spin-off of like Shin Megami Tensei. And it's like, oh, let's check it out and see how those are. But the problem is they're just completely different properties. Like, they share the same, like the demons have like the same design and everything, and so like that carries over. across both worlds. But Shin Megami Tensei is like, remove all the social elements. It's a pretty bare bones plot, and it's mostly dungeon crawling, which is, like, in my opinion, definitely the weaker part of the Persona games. So I will probably give it a miss. It does look cool, though, and we will see closer to the time. I never did play 4, which everybody said was too easy because that game is like, or that series is punishingly hard. The last one that I tried to play was 3, Nocturne, which was like the big breakout SMT game,
which just got ported to the Switch, also.
Exactly, and was re-released for the PS2. It came out on the PS2. Ooh. It was re-released for the PS4. A re-release for the PS2 in 2021 would be a bold decision, and as much as Atlas deserves criticism for its like totally nonsensical platform choices, I think that even they would not release a PlayStation 2 game in 2021. But I think they would probably do it before they would port Persona 5 to PC. Because for whatever reason, Atlas puts out all of the Shin Megami Tensei games on Nintendo consoles, now anyway, and they keep Persona to Sony. And
except for Q.
What's that? Except for Q. Except for Q.
Some of their characters end up in Smash.
One of their characters ends up in Smash. Like, Atlas makes some truly baffling decisions, and like, I don't care because I actually have everything, or I have enough that I can play whatever they put out anywhere, because they're never putting out anything on Xbox. And everything that goes to Xbox goes to PC now anyway.
Exactly.
So who fucking cares?
Yeah.
So 2 more things I want to talk about, and then we should maybe wrap this up because this is running a little long here now, I feel like.
Yeah, there'll have to be some editing. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess there actually was a hardware announcement because we got the Zelda Game & Watch.
Game & Watch, yeah.
Which I'm stoked about because Legend of Zelda OG, it's got Zelda 2, and it's also going to have Link's Awakening.
The original Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah, that a little unexpected, I think, to include that.
I thought it was cool that, like, this time around they're like, well, why don't we just throw fucking more than one game on there?
Yeah,
because we have the hardware to do it now.
Yeah,
exactly. Like the first Game & Watch is just SMB1, right?
It's that, and it's also got the Lost Levels.
Duck Hunt. Oh shit.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, yeah, not Mario 2, but like what the Japanese equivalent of Mario 2 was.
Yeah.
And also so I got the Game & Watch for Christmas, and it was a lot more fun than I expected it to be. I also noticed, because I go way back to like the OG NES Mario games, and I found that this was like a direct port of those, in the sense that it controlled the same as the original NES controls.
Okay.
All of like the modern official Nintendo re-release like emulations of Mario tend to have a little bit tweaked platforming controls.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to like, I think they like figured out like a sweet spot with like the Mario Maker or like the new Super Mario Bros. Controls that they're trying to make like their older games like feel more like that.
Right.
But this is like a direct like port of like classic NES stuff. So yeah, that makes me like super hype about the new Game & Watch.
Hell yeah.
And then the other big thing, like the big thing that everyone expected, Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah.
Which what was surprising to me was that it's not coming out this holiday season.
Yeah.
Because I believe they teased it 2 years ago.
I think so. Yeah.
Is that game that old now?
Breath of the Wild was 2017, right? It was a launch title.
It was a launch title for the Switch.
Okay, I thought it was slightly post-launch.
I was talking about this with Josh earlier. They tend to release Zelda games at the end of a console cycle, so it was like being developed for the Wii U. So there's a Wii U version.
It was in development for like a really long time.
Yeah.
Like long gestating.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, a little surprising to me that it's not coming out in the holiday season, especially considering like with Zelda games, you don't actually see a lot of like direct sequels with like basically the same engine.
Yeah.
This like you did with Majora's Mask, and like I don't really think there are any other Zelda games apart from like the DS games that are like kind of built on the same engine. So it's surprising to me that it's taking this long for them to get out a sequel, but yeah, should be interesting.
Yeah, the only other
skies.
like the only other like similar engine, similar aesthetic one I can think of is the Oracle games, but those came out like the same day, so
yeah.
Also, that was going back to Nintendo games developed by other studios. Those were Capcom games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. But that like makes perfect sense in hindsight.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like that. Yeah, I don't think I have. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add there. I still haven't played Breath of the Wild.
It's good. My recommendation is use swords as little as possible, and that's not even like a durability thing. That game is a million times more fun when you just use bow and arrows and bombs. Trust me.
Noted. Yeah. I'm going to be honest, I don't even know if I will pick it up despite having a Switch, because I have tried multiple Zelda games and they've never clicked for me.
This one is different.
Think of it like this: Legend of Zelda Breath of Skyrim.
Yeah, exactly.
That actually makes it worse, not better.
Okay,
they introduced
I appreciate your effort.
Yeah.
Like item durability, and
which
like
is
kind of sort of crafting. Like you collect different foods and you make
for
different
cooking
recipes and stuff. Like all of that is new to Zelda games.
Yeah. The Sheikah abilities are especially pretty interesting to mess around with the physics of those. Like using magnesis to like hold out a sword in the storm, and then like using that to electrocute all the enemies around you and stuff like that. Little things like that.
That's neat.
You can play with the environment and stuff. Yeah. Also kind of interesting that like there's certain things in Zelda games that are just like a given. Like there's always going to be like bombs, for example. So in Breath of the Wild, like bombs are now part of your like your core, like your Sheikah slate. So you don't have to like
farm them.
Yeah,
you just get them. They respawn in your inventory.
They're on a timer. They're not like you have to collect them.
Yeah.
Which I think makes sense as a progression. Like bombs are in every single Zelda game. They help you unlock like different areas and stuff. You can use them in unique ways to kill enemies. It's like it makes sense to just like you have infinity bombs.
Yeah.
Does Breath of the Wild have Morshu? Because the internet has taught me that is the only Zelda character that I should care about.
No.
Oh, well, never mind. Swing and a miss then.
There's also no Tingle.
Yeah, whoever the fuck that is.
Do you know who Tingle is, Zach?
Yeah, I know who Tingle is.
Okay.
But in Breath of the Wild, there's one really, really big horse.
Yep.
You can.
Oh, good. Oh, there's nothing I like.
I think I named him John. John the big horse.
I mean, here's what I'll say in your defense. John is actually kind of a good name for a big horse. I would be inclined to Big John personally, but I get where you're coming from for sure. That said,
it's also sorry, we'll stop talking about Breath of the Wild here in a second, but like,
Oh, take your time.
it kind of departs from like, older Zelda games are very linear. It's like you proceed to this dungeon, then you proceed to this dungeon, then this dungeon, then this dungeon.
Yeah, there's
This
not like a
time-
lot in terms of like items that you need to progress to like a next area. There's usually like some sort of workaround. Like like the snowy areas will like freeze you to death, but you can like find like chili peppers and cook them into like a stew and just eat that, and then you'll be like on like a heat timer or something like that. So if you want
Right.
to traverse like the mountains and stuff like that, you can just blitz through it like that.
Yeah, instead of like having to find like armor that makes you resistant to cold and stuff.
I
Yeah.
see.
And also like there's
Not
the
to
core-
mention, you don't even need to do the 4 main dungeons to fight the final boss. Like
Yeah.
you could get
I
there
did know that. I did
Yeah,
know
in
that.
like
It's-
10 minutes.
really total freedom, and like there's still like dungeon design, but now they've been like basically turned into like mini game dungeons. You
Yeah.
just find them around this vast world, and you just kind of
And it's like there's some of them are combat based, but like the physics puzzle based ones are a blast.
yeah
To do.
yeah
And then there's the one where it's like you have to go through that canyon, and it's just like a gauntlet of shit shooting lasers at you, and then you just go in and like, well, you survived that, so here you go. Here's your upgrade.
yeah. And the other big thing too is like all of the other big open world games, it's like now they have like the tower like fast travel system
Yeah.
where you unlock
Classic
a region.
Ubisoft design right there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which
which,
is
like, it's crazy to me that like Nintendo made that big of a jump from Skyward Sword to Breath of the Wild. It plays like a completely different type of game, but
Yeah.
it feels more like a direct sequel to like both the original, like the first Zelda to come out, and the first 3D Zelda, Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of mystery in that game, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
those are my mystery hands.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, gonna be one of the most anticipated sequels of this year.
For sure.
Should we wrap it up?
I think we should. Well, that was
Yeah.
a lot of fun. It was a good chat. We're like an hour and a half shorter than what I was expecting these things to go. So that's always good. As Billy Shakespeare once said, brevity is the virtue of kings. Or was it brevity is the soul of wit? Because we had a university professor tell us one way, and then someone said it was the other way. And I still don't know to this day which one it is. So
Brevity
I'm
is
just going
the
to say
soul
both.
of wit. No, brevity is the soul of wit.
As
okay,
William
wait.
Shakespeare once said,
Wait.
smash that like button and be sure to subscribe to
Yeah.
PolyChrome Entertainment.
And
Who
ring
was
that
your
bell
professor?
so you know. Was it was our for the not doxing, it was Film 100 professor.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I was-
be fair, there's like
I was not going to say it, but
there's we'll cut that out. But there's maybe a translation barrier there.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, brevity
That-
is the soul of wit and the virtue of kings.
Okay.
It
that
can be
makes-
both.
I don't know why that popped in my head the other day. I was like, I still don't know which one it is.
The
because
soul
I
of
heard
wit
it. I
and
heard
the
it
virtue
so
of
many
kings,
times
the
both ways.
two genders.
Jesus Christ.
Alright.
Okay, that makes more sense. That makes more sense as to how this could happen. Because it's definitely soul of wit.
I paid good money to find it out both ways. So, and with that, let's call it.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, great
Thanks for
chat,
watching.
guys.
Great. Thanks all.
Smell you later, fuckos. That's how we're gonna end it.